Should you draft David Montgomery in fantasy football this year? Well, let's talk about it. David Montgomery reminds me a lot of Jerry Jones because everyone knows his time is numbered and they're kind of just waiting around for him to die. David Montgomery finished last year as the running back 18 and he's currently going as the running back 21 and the 57th overall player. Listen, David Montgomery is a pretty good player, but he's not as good as Jahmyr Gibbs, and that is a simple fact. The Lions seem to really love Montgomery, but the fact of the matter is, eventually Gibbs is going to win out because Gibbs is so much more talented than Montgomery, which is crazy to say because Montgomery's pretty talented to begin with. When you look at Montgomery, he's never been a terribly efficient back. He's always averaged around 4 yards per carry for his entire career. He's a decent pass-catching back. He saw an increase in receptions last year, but he also saw a decrease in carries and overall yards compared to his first year in Detroit, dropping from 1,000 to about 800. His touchdowns have stayed pretty consistent, so that's really what's stabilizing him. He's had back-to-back double-digit touchdown years, and that's really what's made him a viable fantasy asset. You look at the last two seasons, 15 points per game, and he's finished as, that's 15th and 16th in overall points per game for the last 2 years with the Lions. So, look, David Montgomery his time is numbered. Days are numbered, God. His days are numbered with Jahmyr Gibbs breathing down his neck. And I would not be surprised if we see Jahmyr Gibbs start to take a little bit of that workload, because we saw last year when David Montgomery got injured down the stretch, Jahmyr Gibbs took over and Jahmyr Gibbs looked super dynamic. And I do think that the Lions like having Montgomery around because it keeps Gibbs healthy. It keeps Montgomery healthy because they have two backs and they fill different roles because Gibbs is the speedster and Montgomery's the heavy back. They put it on the goal line, and that's why he scores so many touchdowns. But I do think that there will come a time when it is just Gibbs. And I would not be surprised this year if Gibbs gets a little bit more of the workload, but I do think Montgomery is still going to be involved. And I think that looking at this year, I'm still in on Montgomery this year, despite the fact that Gibbs is breathing down his neck, because I think that the possibility of regression has been baked in. Listen, Montgomery these last 2 years, RB 15 and 16 in points per game. This year, he's RB 21. People are already expecting Gibbs to take over a little bit more, so his value's dropping. So if Montgomery does drop from that 15 points per game to maybe 12 or 13, which would still be, a viable RB3, low-end RB2, which is about where he's going, Montgomery would be fine. He might not return additional value, but he still hit his ADP. So I think for at least this year, I'm still in on if I need a running back 2 late in the draft, in the middle rounds, I'm okay with Montgomery. I'm going to give him a grade of B-.